Hey there, it's Sean. I have a fascinating story for you about how I used my precious energy to keep a very unhealthy, unhelpful story alive, but also how I shifted that energy to create a new story. And it's so clear to me now that it's humorous. And I know as I tell you this story, you're going to get insights about your own stories that you're keeping alive and how you too can shift them to something that feels more empowering. Okay, here's the story, but let me start with some context. So I'm in the process of changing my name back to my birth name. So I'm going from Sean Bradford to back to my birth name, Sean Rebecca Sims. I had first tried it by doing an amendment to my divorce decree, but that was denied because I got divorced like 12 years ago. At the time, kept my ex's last name because my kids were little and I wanted to have the same last name as them. Anyways, so then I had to go through the process of doing a legal name change. Well, I submitted everything to the courts, and then they came back to me and said, no, you need to get your ex-husband to sign this form since you have children together that are minors. Well, at the time, he was out of town, and I started to create and fuel the story I've always had. Everything with him is difficult, is the story that I had. And it's the story that I was fueling. Every time I retold anybody about how difficult this process was to get my name changed and how I had to get him to sign it. And I just kept retelling the story, retelling how difficult this was, and really keeping the difficulty of this perceived interaction alive. And also, for your own insight, I started to pay attention to who I was telling the story to. We do this very subconsciously, but when we want to keep a story alive, we choose who we tell it to. We want to tell it to people who are going to agree with the story and help us to keep it alive, right? Well, finally, I got fed up with my story that this had to be difficult because it was just taking so long and getting almost so ridiculous. And I'm like, so ridiculous. I was like, okay, I'm tired of this. But let me tell you a really funny part. I hadn't even contacted my ex yet to ask him to sign the form because my story got so big that everything with him was difficult. So this too would be difficult that I didn't even ask. That's the first humorous part. So I do what I always do when I need clarity. I meditate. I started out years ago with guided meditation. I really prefer silence at this point, but I'm also a huge fan of guided meditation, depending what's best for you. But in this case, I took to silent meditation and I stayed in meditation until I got a feeling of ease, because that's what I went into the meditation with. The intention was, I don't want this to be difficult. I want this just to be easy and done with. So I stayed in meditation until I felt ease in my body. And another time, another video, or you can email and ask. I do have a specific process I do to get deep in meditation. You can always ask, happy to share it with you. But the point was, I get deep in meditation, very, very relaxing. And I stayed there until I felt this just ease in my whole body. And I'm like, that's what I want. I want all of this to be easeful. I want it to be easy. I want it to be simple. And as I was coming out of meditation, the idea popped into my head, get a mobile notary. And once I thought of that, I was like, duh. And here's the important part. I didn't fight that. That popped into my head right after meditation. I didn't fight that that was going to be a cost. I didn't fight that I had to do a few things to set it up. I called one place. She wasn't available. She was out of town. I called another place and she's like, she can do it. I emailed the form to my ex and said, can I send a mobile notary to you to sign this? Pretty quickly, he emailed one word back, yes. I copied the mobile notary and just said, this is what I need signed. I'll let you two take it from here. Had a quick text exchange with the mobile notary, paid her a little extra then to drop the original notarized document off in my mailbox. I got it in less than 24 hours then. right? From the time I made that first phone call. And the following day, brought it to the court. It took me like 30 seconds to file. And then that was it. Easy, right? Every action was easy. And I'm positive every action was easy because the energy that I brought into the actions, the email, the phone call to the notary, it was all from an energy of ease. Now, I can bet if I started to fight having to pay for it, none of it would have been easy, right? If I would have gone into it with the energy of wanting to micromanage it and control, the energy that would have overtaken would have been the control. And I know I would not have gotten an easeful solution. Okay. So everything from this point now has been easeful. And I just find it now humorous, right? I was completely keeping the story alive. And the key that I was doing, that was I was just retelling it over and over. And that's okay. Sometimes that's what we have to do until I was like, okay, you've told the story like 15 times. Like, let's tell another story. So, step one, I finally got awareness that I was the only one keeping the story alive of everything with my ex is difficult. I went into meditation with the intention of help me with what's an easy solution? What's an easy way to get this wrapped up? What's an easy way to get this done? And I stayed in meditation till I cultivated a feeling of ease. And here's a little hack for you. Whatever feeling you might want, go to Insight Timer. I've got meditations too, but go to YouTube. There's so many free ones and just type in meditation for ease, meditation for confidence, meditation for support, whatever you're looking for to help you get to that feeling within. And please know, this very well might not be a one and done process. Maybe you spend a week, a month, a year cultivating that feeling that you want. Okay. Please don't put a time frame on it. Just know that you are worth the investment. You are worth the investment to change the story within. So no time frame. Just pick the new story, attach it to a feeling, get into things that are meditative for you. It might not be sitting still. It could be doing art. It could be taking a walk. It could be stretching, anything that's meditative for you. It could be sitting in stillness. It could be journaling, whatever it is for you. Got really excited there, and my chair's like squeaking because I'm doing all the hand motions. Anyways, if you hear that noise, it's my chair. Let me see if I can sit differently. Okay, so then when you come out of meditation, take that new energy that you've cultivated and take that energy out into life, right? Into the situation, into just daily life, right? Start seeing things through that lens of that new feeling that you want to have. So let me give you a recap and then we'll wrap this up. Find your own story that you're just like, I'm done. I'm tired of keeping it alive. Mine was everything with my ex is difficult. I finally got tired of that. Find your own that you're like, okay, it's enough. Let's rewrite this. And then what do you want instead? For me, it was ease. Maybe for you, it's ease. Maybe it's support. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's relaxation, whatever you want your new story to be, worthiness. You are so worthy. Whatever you want your new story to be, okay? Go into meditation. If you need the support of guided meditation, amazing. Find one that'll help you cultivate that feeling and start to, over time, rewrite that where your story goes from being like mine, difficult to ease, okay? I do recommend start with something maybe a little smaller. In the written part of this post, I have some examples for you. So something that's not like super triggering. Maybe it's something like, the story right now is something's always breaking in my house. So play with something like that to start, right? Just to play with this energy, to go from, no, you know what? My house is this peaceful haven where, what would we want to say? A peaceful haven where things are working, right? And then take that story into meditation, get the feeling of that, and start to bring that into everything you do in your house, right? You do your chores with that feeling that everything's working in your house. You wash your dishes with that feeling. You eat your meals with that feeling. You sleep with that feeling, right? So now that's the new story about the relationship with you and your house, per example. All right. I love to hear your thoughts. I love to talk so much about the energy behind things because it's so fascinating to me. So share your thoughts, share your ideas. Most importantly, share your questions because it helps me to understand how to relay this information in the best way it can be received. So leave a comment, send me an email, however you want to get a hold of me. I would love to hear from you.